Okay, let's talk to Jeff from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Hi, Jeff. Welcome.
Hi, Steve. Thank you for taking my call. My
Yeah.
question's about the flood narrative in Genesis, and I'm
hmm
wondering if you, in your studies of Hebrew and Genesis, do you feel there are biblical interpretations of the flood that would support a local or regionalized flood? In particular, I've heard some arguments that the Hebrew terms for planets Earth and land, I believe it's Eretz,
Eretz, uh-huh.
are quite ambiguous. And just what are your thoughts? Is there a biblical argument that supports a regionalized flood?
There are arguments for it. There are arguments for a regional flood as opposed to a global flood. I still favor the global flood theory, but you're right. The word eretz, which is translated the earth, whenever it says, all the earth will be covered with water and everything that dwells on the earth shall perish and so forth. The word earth, we use that term usually for the planet Earth. Now, of course, we might use it less frequently to speak of dirt. If you pick up dirt and you're holding a handful of earth, but that's not as common. When we use the word earth, we're almost always talking about the planet Earth. Not necessarily so in the Bible. In fact, there's hardly ever, I think there are some cases, but they're very rare in the Bible, when earth or eretz in the Bible means the planet Earth, because the same word means ground or land. In fact, the land of Israel is often called the Eretz, the land, with the same word. Now, of course, the flood didn't cover the land of Israel. Noah and his family didn't live in the land of Israel. They lived in Mesopotamia. But the region, the land there, it could be that the word earth speaks of a limited range of land. All the land in the region that was flooded was covered, and all the things died there. I mean, there are people who have argued that the word eretz is perhaps ambiguous enough that it doesn't have to refer to all the planet Earth. And that's one of the arguments they make. And then they have other arguments too, but that's the main one I think that would be drawn from scriptural language. However, there are things about the flood that make me think it's not regional. Though if it was, that's fine with me. I have no preference. When I have an opinion about many things about which I have no preference. I have opinions about the age of the earth, about the global flood, things like that. But I don't have any interest in whether it's correct or not. I just try to follow what I see as likely from Scripture, and if I turn out to be wrong, there's nothing lost from it. But I do believe that the Bible indicates that the flood covered all the highest mountains to a depth of 22 and a half feet above the highest mountains. Now, I'm not sure how you contain a local flood when all the mountains, which would be the natural perimeters, the mountain range would be the one thing that would contain the flood in a certain valley. If the water's above the mountains by, as much as a two-story building above, then I would say probably it wasn't confined to that area. Another thought is that we know that when the rain stopped, when there was no more water being added to the flood, it took a whole year for the waters to drain off to the point where Noah and his family could get out of the ark and live on the ground again. It took many, many months before they could even see the tops of mountains. Now, in a local flood, no matter how much water there is, within a few days or weeks, it'll drain off once you stop adding more, once it stops raining, whatever is on the ground will simply drain off. The most abundant waters in a region will run off in, I would say less than a few weeks. The reason that the flood didn't go down for about a year in any considerable way would have to be because it had to evaporate. It wasn't running off anywhere. There's no place to run off to. That's what I think. And then there's, of course, the whole issue of if God wanted to preserve two of every kind of animal and Noah's family, and he gave them 120 years advance notice to build a boat, why? Why build a boat? Why not just leave the valley? Why not? Why didn't God just say, hey, Noah, This valley is doomed. There's a mountain range over there. On the other side of it, there won't be any flood. You got 120 years to get over there. No one would take 120 years to go over the next mountain range. So he could more easily have relocated than built a boat that big. So it strikes me as if the Bible is describing something that wasn't just locally contained. And if it turns out that it was, I got no problem with it. But if it wasn't, if we take seriously some of the descriptions of things, I would have to say I don't think it works out for it to be a local flood.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff.